Yes, we are live on cricket.com, Monday Night Live to be specific, episode 83. And my name's Avnish Hegde. As you can see, as always, we have Akshay Kumarswamy and Nikhil Popa joining us, which makes it a stellar podcast, to be fair. And today we want to talk about a host of things, get into test match mood, and of course, reflect on all the T20 leagues which are happening right now. Amidst that, we'll also give you our WTC predictions. We'll reflect on what's been a truly bittersweet week for RCB and lots more in this Power Pack 1. But first up, introductions as always. Akshay, I'll start with you. How's your weekend? Been going well? I saw the women's podcast. It's not bad. Not bad at all.
Yeah, not too bad, of course. Been an interesting weekend. Took part in a quiz yesterday. Been a while since I did one of those. Came first, so happy about it, maintaining my streak.
Was it a cricket-related quiz?
Yeah, it was an IPL quiz. Some very interesting questions, by the way. So it was organized by the Karnataka Quiz Association. And of course, a friend of the cricket.com channel, Santosh Udupa, was the one who brought it up to me. And he joined me as well. So it was pretty fun. Loved taking part. And of course, met a lot of, fellow cricket enthusiasts. Nothing like it, trying to dissect the different questions and coming up with, unknown bits of IPL trivia. So lots of fun. So yeah, that's how I spent my Sunday, especially after the way the week had panned out. That was a nice stress buster.
Yeah, the quiz for the quiz master. Nikhil, anything from your side? Fantasy for the fantasy cricket expert, I'm guessing?
I'm finding 24 hours are too less. That's just what I was saying to Akshay, that there is so much cricket to catch on. And thankfully, I was immersed into 5 hours and 29 minutes of some excellent tennis. It's very rare that I get to watch tennis, and I did with my brother, cousin, and enjoyed all of it. So, sports, you can't thank sports enough for existing, because I would have been long gone if not for sports.
Sports indeed, man. I mean, you're talking about the tennis final, which I was gripped on, and what a way for it to end. It ended at the perfect time for, of course, this man to step up and show his quality, winning one. And it just made my weekend, my summer in many ways, Akshay, after RCB lifting the cup last week rather. And then, of course, Ronaldo doing it this time. So I am a bit ardent Ronaldo fanboy. I'll admit that straight up on this podcast. But like Nick's mentioned, shout out to Carlos Alcaraz fans, just scintillating tennis. If you saw that, go watch it. If you didn't, there's a 12-minute clip of the Roland Garros website and some exhilarating tennis, to say the least. We'll take some comments before we move along. Before we, of course, talk to you about even the India A England Lions game. We'll give you updates there. We'll look ahead to what is going to be a compelling series, which is 11 days from time. We'll get some experts as well along the way on cricket.com. Be sure of that. Ria Jaiswal saying, been a while, boys. It has. It feels absolutely an eternity since the last time we did a live show. Hello from Sydney, mate. Appreciate that, Viva Amarim. If you're joining us from down under, talk to us about the WTC final. Get involved. Feels like forever, guys. Good luck for the show. Guy Ritchie, thank you for your time. And Dr. Dave Walker saying South Africa batting is a problem. Lack of experience as they choke most of the time in semi-finals and finals. We'll preview that in just a bit. I know most of the South African top order has a similar amount of test matches than just one bloke in Steve Smith. Dr. Daywater adding to blame on RCB for saying free tickets on their Insta Sport. We'll come to that as well for sure. We're not going to hold our thoughts back. And Photo Saver, if you're a new subscriber to the channel, he asks RCB to be banned. They deserve it if they were very negligent, but jail, jersey, karma. I mean, we'll talk about all of that because, look, we've been the button if for most jokes, and whether this carries on, we'll talk to you about that. Yeah, we took that one. And Osman saying any special episode on IPL teams post-mortem. We'll try to do it maybe if we have some time, but we're all kind of busy with our vacation and holidays. And Shaunak Malik saying UEFA Nations Leagues is irrelevant trophy, bro. I mean, that's like saying the Copa America as well, but it is a trophy and he's got his hands on it. I know Messi's in the cold somewhere and our producer is not holding back. And finally, before I go back to Nikhil and Akshay, you guys looking forward to Test cricket now. After all, T20 favorite format is back. So let's set perfect segue to get into the WTC and what we make of it. Because within 36 hours, the first ball will be bowled, depends where you're watching or hearing or when you are. Akshay, first ball to you here. South Africa, Australia. Who starts favorites and why?
I think it's a bit of a rhetorical that like Australia, South Africa, any format in cricket, if a final is going to be played, in all likelihood Australia start favorites. Simply because of their history, their track record of, being so good when it comes to crunch moments and crunch situations. not so much can be said about the Saffers, unfortunately, in this sport. Hopefully, they can change that. And what better way to win your first ever trophy of the millennium than to win it in the longest format in what is considered to be the purest form of cricket. So I am excited to see how they go about it. Of course, the height difference is only in physicality. Baki kahin aur mein farak nahi hai. Don't worry in terms of potential, in terms of the kind of effort that we will see put on the field. I'm expecting it to be a hell of an encounter. Australia versus South Africa, two very, very exciting pace attacks taking on at Lords, which might not exactly be pacer friendly. Super excited, but Australia start favorites.
Okay, it whets the appetite for an amazing English summer, Nikhil, if you think about it, because India, England, 5 tests is anyway a riveting prospect with the new generation and all of that. But this one, South Africa, Australia, I mean, just going into it, lots of players have been, of course, involved in the IPL. Some of the Australian players who weren't, they were training in Brisbane, and now it all shows down. So is this the two best teams to reach this WTC cycle final? And tell me yes or no accordingly.
Two best teams, at least on table, and you can't debate that. South Africa number 1, Australia number 2. So I hope that's the only time where number 2 is beating number 1, because I had enough of it in the IPL also, happily, of course, and in tennis also happily. But this one might not be happily if Australia beat South Africa. But I agree with Akshay that Australia start favorites. Two best teams again. I think far too much is made of do South Africa deserve and not. I mean, they won 7 out of their 8 games that they had to win, and they are here for a reason. So it's not like that everybody said, no, we don't want to win. Let South Africa win and go through. It's not been the case. And if you look at South Africa's road, which we will get to in a while, you see they've had to do, yes, you will say maybe not the best teams, but they still had to beat what they faced. And they were in difficult situations, whether it is in Bangladesh, whether it is in New Zealand, where they had a fair off time. They had to find a way out of it. So to go from 6 to 7 uncapped players in New Zealand to now competing in the WTC final, they have done something right to be there. So I'm just hoping for a cracking final. There are multiple ways in which I imagine South Africa winning. It may not happen, but if not this year, then I don't know which year.
Yeah, South Africa winning will be special because, look, if you actually think about all the sporting teams to won this summer, South Africa could just end that or maybe start a new summer of sport. Akshay, I'll come to South Africa's road to the final, but I want to, of course, just showcase Australia's road to the final first because they had India at their expense. And it just makes you think whether this team can defend their title. There's so many great stories and subplots. You look at Smith and then the holy trinity of the bowlers. But just to paint a vivid picture to the viewers right now, this is how it all unfolded. They got some crucial wins. And when they needed to, of course, turn it on, they turned it on big style. So, Akshay, coming to you on this, you mentioned Australia starts favourites. But this all goes out of the window if you just look at it one particular test match.
100%. I mean, we remember what happened in the inaugural WTC final. You don't have to look way too back. Everyone thought, yeah, New Zealand to ऐसे ही मतलब सुंडी में आ गया, पता नहीं क्या slow over rate है वो करके, but they eventually ended up winning. So it's always about that day. I firmly believe that. For me, firstly, MS Dhoni once brought this up, during one of the IPLs. I consider a tournament to be successful if I made it to the knockout stage. Because after that, every game is played on that day. You might win, you might lose, you can't do anything about it. On the other hand, what is in your hand is what you do over the 2 years. Because 2 years is too long a period to say, I was unlucky, this didn't work in my favor, toss aa gaya. You're playing 15, 20 odd tests. That's played across 5 days. That's about 70 to 80 days of cricket. You can't be unlucky if you've not qualified despite playing so many days of cricket. So you are good enough to be here. And I'm pretty sure that's how South Africa will also be looking at it. And that's how Australia will also be looking at it. But come the big moment, they're just now focused on that game. They're not going to be looking back at, we played this team that way, or we played here 2 years ago. So this is what we can. Bhai, aaj ka game hai, aaj ka din hai, they'll have to just look at it. And I, for one, I'm very excited to see, which is why I believe with South Africa, especially given this format, I think, that pressure that people talk about, Test cricket, the kind of pressure that we see is a lot more mental. It's not, it's not instantaneous. It's spread across days. So I want to believe that, South Africa would be a lot more attuned to handling this kind of pressure than say something where, arey, do ball mein char chahiye, and there's so much added pressure in one ball to create, something magical. So I'm hoping that over here, that pressure won't be there, and they might be able to get over, the ghosts of the past.
Yeah, interesting that you mentioned that, because if you look at South Africa, even this cycle, Markram said it a while ago in that press conference leading up to it, saying 2 test match series could help our cause to make more WTC cycle finals. And it just makes you think about how it unraveled. So let's just pay attention to South Africa's road to the final right now. Nick's brought it up earlier. They went down in India initially, and then they came back brilliantly in that. And then, of course, pocketing points in the road, which is so important for any quest of any final. The critical ones I would feel was Pakistan and South Africa, where they won 2-0. I mean, Rabada pulled off some chase with the rest of the tail. Other good wins, if you look at West Indies and West Indies. I mean, I know many people say it's not the West Indies of the old, but they still got the job done with a relatively inexperienced team. Next, to South Africa then, have you observed any theme that they've been kind of so dominant in this particular cycle? And where are their strengths and weaknesses? Because come to think of it, they have a good pace battery, but it's the batters who really need to show up, I feel.
Yeah, I think a lot will ride on Bavuma, who has actually led from the front in the last 2 years. He's averaging more than 50 for the right reason. I think there may not be a lot to look out for from Australia's road to final, but I think the same for South Africa is very different, because I feel right through this cycle they were in very, very difficult positions. You look at the Pakistan chase that you just discussed, Rabada having to shepherd the chase. They needed a 50-run stand. They were 99 out for 8, chasing a paltry, a very small total. You go back to Bangladesh, you needed Mulder and others with Kyle Warren to score. So they've had to have different people step up, and we've already seen one team winning on the back of multiple people stepping up, as compared to being dependent on a few individuals to run through. Now, of course, if you say man-to-man, you would feel Australia have far superior and experienced options. But the catch there is, how many of them can do it on the day? And to me, I don't think South Africa have to carry any baggage. There is no baggage on South Africa of the past. They've never lost a WTC final. Everybody's expecting Australia to win. So all you have to do is show up, come, have a good time, and then if you do well, there is only good things to write about you, because what's there to lose? You have made. I mean, when you had 6 uncapped players preferring the SA20, you were not thinking, I need to win this one, but my life depends on it. But now this is your occasion to come in and shine. One good Jansen spell, one crazy Rabada spell is always going to take to open this game up. So I'll think of it like that.
Yeah, time for Laura Wolfart and Annika Bosch to give them a pep talk. If you know, you know. That's all I'll have to say.
I mean, Akshay, come to think of it, we'll think about what it means for South Africa, but what will it mean for Australia to win this? Because will there be eminent retirements in the names I mentioned? Smith, I know, has not played any cricket. He's been in New York, apparently, just doing a bunch of things and having beers too. How important is it for someone like him? And because they won it, do you think they can give themselves a little bit of a, it's okay. Even though we haven't won it this time, we won it before. It's not like all or nothing for certain players right now. So how do you view it for Australia, and what will it mean for them?
I've always wondered about their mindset. Yeah, I don't think these are people who look forward to events or time their careers based on acha ye tournament hai to iske baad one last hurrah and all of it. And like you said, they won the last WTC. It's not like they've not won it in a while, and there's no arc that deserves a perfect ending over there. Steve Smith right now is on the wrong side of 36, so I can see that. And he also spoke about how he's sort of taking it day by day, month by month, in terms of how he feels, how the body feels. So it might be the case that we are near to the end, but is the end on the horizon? I'm not sure, because Ashes to kheli jayega banda. It's your home Ashes, and you want to play. That's the one tournament every Aussie and every Englishman really fights for. So I don't think we will see the end of Steve Smith right after the WTC final. So I'm expecting him to have at least a couple more years. And given that 2025 December, you will see, of course, England fight it out in Australia. Then 2027 Jan, you've got India going to Australia. So that's also, Australia coming to India. Apologies, not. So given that, again, those are two big series that you would want to be a part of. and it's not like there's a very long break there. Steve Smith, we will be seeing him in BBL, a lot more NLC for sure. So I would say maybe the upcoming WTC cycle would be the last of him in that format. So he would probably end up playing the entirety of the upcoming cycle.
Okay, let's take some comments right now and then just come back to this chat because there is still plenty to discuss in terms of the WTC. Hi, what's good? Asking Tanbir, all good. We will, of course, discuss any Bangladesh matters if you throw us in because he's, of course, from there. That's good to see you all saying, Sachin, good to see you as well. Arsenic Gunner, hey, gang, have a great summer. It's been a while that you poked on, but bless you wherever you are. Rickleton is expected to open. Is that a good move? We'll ask Nix right now in terms of the playing 11s. And, of course, there is a better chat on the WTC final as well. So watch out for that tomorrow. I think the boys have already discussed it with Somesh. And Manas opening could give a slow start for Australia. Why not go with Travis? Asking Santosh Rupa. Again, we'll come to the team 11s and just in terms of the strengths and weaknesses, like I said. Next, just on Australia, because I just want to understand where they could be possibly exploited. How do they go for it? Say South Africa win the toss and it's gloomy conditions, green deck. Do you think they can probably have a crack at them bowling first?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the team in the toss opts to bowl. And again, we are still a few days away. In England, you have to see up more than you have to see down. Things are at times like that. And Lords has been good for batting. And generally also you see day 2, 3, 4 better for batting that way. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. Now, how much moisture is there, whether they feel it is worth chasing the game if they get a good start. That's the only call that South Africa have to take. But I think that's the best chance South Africa have in terms of whenever they bowl, they have to get them 50 for 3. I don't think there is any negotiable there where, okay, let them get to 150 and then we'll trigger a collapse. Nahi hoga bhai. Because if they got a start, uske baad Smith, Head, Carey, Webster, they are not going to leave South Africa and they're not going to give them a chance to come back in the game. So I think whenever South Africa bowl, they have to be at the top game. And I trust Jansen and Rabada to create chances. All I'm hoping for is if Manas ka catch somebody is dropping, I hope somebody else can take a rebound. Or if he's given LBW, there is no umpire's call. Because you will need that bit of luck on that very given day. And I think that is Australia's only weakness, so to say. Because the rest of the batting has been in good touch. And you can always trust Hazelwood, Stark, Cummins to find their way. I mean, they rarely miss their mark. So, and they're playing their second final for a reason.
Okay, I mean, Akshay, do you agree with Ricky Ponting's 11? I mean, I was just reading it and I'll read it out for you and the viewers. He's gone for Khwaja, Manis to open, Camo Green 1 down, Smith 4, Travis had 5, Webster 6, Carey 7, then Cummins, Stark, Lyon, and Hazelwood. So where do you stand in that? Are you okay with Manis opening? Are you okay with Green coming in, batting 1 down in such a big occasion? Talk to me about your selections.
Yeah,
I think he just one line. He should have got the Punjab selection right, but sorry, please continue.
Fair enough, but I do agree with that 11. I think that will in all likelihood be Australia's 11 come the 11th of June, simply because Cameron Green, of course, one might argue that he's coming back from an injury. Would it be right to directly play him and then play him in a final? But the guy has been in draw-licking form. If you guys caught the latter half of the Sheffield Shield, there were a couple of resurrections that he was a part of. There were a couple of Big Daddy hundreds that he got. So he is in good nick, and Australia knows better than to rest and inform Cameron Green. Sure, he might be batting just as or playing just as a batter in the final. But imagine if your number 3 can also be a 4th or 5th pacer. That's luxury that very few teams can afford. So yeah, they will in all likelihood play Green. And Manis, he has to open, man. I sort of get where Santosh is coming from. He'd earlier mentioned why not open with Head. In fact, that was one of my initial thoughts as well. They probably can open with Head and Khwaja because that would help them in case if they do get off to a great start. That would really take the pressure off of Green and everything. But why fix what ain't broke? Head has worked for you in the middle order. Smith has worked for you at number 4. So why do you want to change all of that so much? So just stick to it. And just make that one change at the top wherein Manas Labuschagne now opens because Cameron Green will have to be slotted in the number 3.
Come to think of it, there's so many bowling options, including Labuschagne if they need him. But I think Camo Green could bowl, Webster could bowl. apart from 3 quicks in line, of course. We'll come to South Africa and their struggles next. In fact, let's just talk about their 11, because Australia's 11 is pretty much straightforward, and it's maybe 1 or 2 bowled for Hazelwood, but I think Hazelwood will definitely play. South Africa's 11, I think Boucher went on to say that Rickleton's super important for them. He picks even Stubbs in his 11. So where do you kind of sit on South Africa's 11? And do you think it's their 4 pacers which hold the key, or others who could be an X factor there?
Yeah, I definitely feel they'll play at least 3. So that is a given. Patterson, I think, should make it, has enough experience, and Rabada will as well. So if I'm going batting order-wise, probably Markram and Rickleton to open. Markram offers that solidity. Rickleton will give you those runs. I won't be surprised if they push Mulder at 3, because they've been trying that and they've been on that horse. And Mulder could be that differential guy who, surprises Australia also with his new ball skills, because I think he's very underrated with the ball. Again, I've been on this route since I don't know how many years now, but hopefully we'll see that in the WTC final. 4 is Stubbs, 5 Bavuma, 6 Bedingham, 7 Calvarain. So very good batting lineup with Marco Jansen coming in at 8, Keshav Maharaj 9, Patterson or Rabada. Almost batting till 10 for all you care. And enough bowling options, because for all the pacers, to me, it is Maharaj who is going to be the biggest game changer for South Africa, because control to wahin se aayega. I don't expect once Rabada and Jansen are done, Patterson may not be hit around, I don't know. But if Maharaj gives them control, the entire bowling lineup will look far different, because then you can attack with Mulder as well.
Akshay, it's kind of a similar look and feel from both teams, essentially, on paper. If you look at the subtleties, also what you need in Test cricket, both teams are stacked with batting, fast bowling all-rounders. You have both teams having spinners who can offer a lot of control in the game, like Nick's mentioned about Maharaj. But what is the difference maker there? And how much do you agree with that South African 11 that Nick's has popped in? Because Mulder for 3 looks a big bet. I know it's an experimentation which has worked well for them. It almost gives me an Andrew Hall kind of vibe way back in the day, where he used to come in and blunt the new ball. How different are your 11 rather, from Nick's? And do you have Mulder at 3?
Yeah, I do, because Pakistan series we saw them, they really stuck to it. They made a few changes in the second test as well, but Mulder at number 3 was that one constant, because they really want to give him some time. But understandably, like we spoke earlier, having a number 3 who can bowl like proper pacer, who can also be a 4th or 5th option, that's not something we see often. And South Africa know what it is like. They've had a Jacques Kallis. So they are trying to see, of course, no one's saying this guy can be the next Jacques Kallis. Fingers crossed. If we can do even half of what Jacques did, I'm thinking he'll have a very illustrious career. So understandable once again, because if you look at the options that they have to replace Vian Mulder, it's what, someone like a Tony Dezorgi. England में उतना ज़्यादा खेला नहीं है, तो you're not sure कहाँ पे वो खेल पाएंगे, क्या कर पाएंगे. So might as well stick to this and see wherein bowling में भी थोड़ा value add मिल जाएगा in case if it ever comes down to that. The rest of the order, the rest of the batting lineup really picks itself. You can't drop Stubbs, Bavuma or Bedingham at 6 or Viren at 7. Then the bowlers, Jansen, Patterson, Rabada and Maharaj. Once again, it's South Africa, it seems very obvious, like almost 9 of the spots, 9 of the players pick themselves. It's only 1 or 2 spots where you can potentially argue, but there also you can see a clear favorite in terms of who should be making it to the playing 11, considering how they have backed certain players. So yeah, expecting Mulder at number 3, expecting Viren at number 7, and the rest, of course, remains the same.
Now, apparently, the weather should look good in this week for Lords, so we should get a game in, and we should probably get a winner as well. Now, the predictions we'll have our say right now, but Santosh has a very good question. What if this game ends in a draw? Will it be awarded to the team with highest in the rank order? Akshay, you want to take that one?
Actually, I'm unsure of this. I don't think for first innings lead wala scenario hai yahan pe, like Ranji Trophy or the domestic tournament. So yeah, maybe it is the WTC points that will be considered. Nikhil,
so
joint winner.
Then win it then, right?
Sorry?
Joint winner.
We can confirm it. Nikhil, agar aapko sure pata
yes,
hai,
yes.
Okay, then fine.
I'm just reading out. As long as I know, it is joint winners.
Okay.
Australia and South Africa will have to share the WTC trophy if it's draw, tied, or abandoned.
Got it. Okay, fair. I mean, South Africa at this point in time wouldn't mind that too. But yeah, that's the odds of something like that happening would be are very less rather, not even would be. Like
Would love but I would love a tight test. Been a while. And if this one comes through, I'm going to go mad.
Final neutral venue पे tight test हो जावे तो भाई मजा तो आएगा. It means it'd be a very thrilling encounter.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past.
Sorry. Please, Amrish, continue.
I wouldn't put it past them next for a tight test because now Jaisha being the ICC helm, he might write scripts there, and no better place to write it at Lords to have a great advertisement for this tournament anyway, WTC.
If I get tight tests, I'm going to spend some bucks on lotteries. That is for sure.
Okay, fine. Prediction then, boys. Next, we'll start with you. What can happen? What will happen? And who are you slightly rooting for?
I mean, no doubt I'm rooting for South Africa. I think Australia won enough. No bias or hatred in that sense. We've been on that new winner thing for IPL. I think Test cricket would benefit. It would benefit far more if South Africa win, so that things are done in accordance to have more people playing Test cricket. So I can see Australia winning, but I genuinely hope from every inch of my heart, Nipura body, okay, South Africa, please do the unthinkable.
I think all three of us in this panel is South Africa, so it might be a rhetorical question. I think Lords will be back in the Proteas because obviously who would want to support the old enemy there? Akshay, apparently Cummins has never lost a final and Bavuma has never lost a test match as captain. So what's going to give? The unstoppable force versus the immovable object. I don't know who's who in that, but you can make whatever you want to make of it.
I mean, given that we just saw last week, Hazelwood win another final. Hazelwood should also be a part of that group, that very elite group of never having lost a final. And
that is a T20 final. That is a T20 final. That is
this is across formats. Hazelwood ka across formats because they'd included the 23 World Cup and all.
तो फिर पहला वाला आ जाएगा. ठीक है, continue.
I hope. I mean, of course, make no mistake. I am rooting for the Saffers, and in fact, if I'm pretty sure if there was a poll and वो जो आता है ना IPL में इंडिया का मैप दिखा के कौन सा एरिया किसको सपोर्ट कर रहा है, there would just be the southern hemisphere, a corner of the southern hemisphere rooting for Australia, and then you would just see green all over the world. So everyone's rooting for South Africa, man. That's always the case. Everyone loves a good underdog story, and this is probably as good an underdog story as it gets. So we will be rooting for them. Dekhte kya hota hai. And in all fairness, people who might think that I or anyone is being biased, we've all heard of the very common adage that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Waise hi samajh lo, jealousy is also a very pure form of flattery. We don't want them to win because we are tired of seeing them win. We acknowledge the fact that they are a good side, and now we want to see someone else also being able to beat them. As simple as that.
I was just checking it out. The last time these two teams played at Lords, both of them won. South Africa beat England in 2022. Australia beat England in 2023. So, I don't know, man. It'll be crazy. And, of course, the honours board, lots of those players, experienced or inexperienced, will want to get on it 100%. Santosh was saying prediction Khwaja to be the leading scorer for the test. Early shouts, well done. Uli wishful thinking, South Africa have no chance, logically speaking. And Dr. Daywalker saying, bro, they haven't played more than 2 match series. It's unfair. I mean, they've taken that and they've expanded it and exploited it. Cricket Info saying, Nix, can you elaborate how will Test cricket benefit from South Africa winning? Because from what I hear, seeing the FTP for South Africa isn't looking bright. They hardly play 10 matches. No, but I agree with Nix here. I mean, if you have Australia winning it, it just doesn't do the game right. I mean, obviously Australia could win it, but just it infuses more energy to a powerhouse like South Africa for the cricket world. Nix? What's your thought?
And see, there are things like these is you can't quantify stuff like that. You cannot quantify how much it will do for the game because they haven't had the FTP because they haven't made money playing Test cricket. Other boards are not making money. If they win, if there is a new winner, world winner in South Africa, it may make people think, oh, now we have a way to market South Africa Test cricket better. There might be lesser of 2 Test match series. There could be more 3 match series. And the country has not won anything in cricket since a while. How do you quantify that in terms of getting more people into the game? So I understand this is more philosophical and hoping against hope. By everything will be positive and people will take up to Test cricket, but that's what you can hope. And I would have said the same thing even if India was playing the WTC final. You can pick a side. Either you can pick the greater good or you can say, the obvious कि भाई Australia जीत रहा है तो जीतेगा कोई वांधा नहीं.
Freaking awesome saying Australia's test record at Lords is even better than the home side's England record there. I mean, been playing cricket there for the longest time since 1888 or whatever. Nani Kofo will answer all your questions to this in the 12th man section for sure. And would love a Bavuma century saying Ankit Mittal. I mean, get your predictions in. And Rajesh Human again, it's science, bro. It's honestly science. Sometimes we thank our stars that we actually get lots of views in certain properties, but sometimes we've just been merrily moving along and we're rapidly hitting 120K. So jump on that bandwagon. And please like this video, guys. If you guys are listening or hearing from Spotify, please, on YouTube, it means a lot to us. The final little thing that I want to do is this is a request from the social media team. So between the three of us, we have to now pick a combined 11 for the WTC Final 2025. So Australia, South African players only, preferably the ones in the squad right now. So Akshay, Nix, and me will decide on the openers first. Is it safe to say it's Khwaja and Markram? Or are you guys going elsewhere?
There's a need, but final 11 ही बना रहा है तो फिर तो very less options.
Yeah, we'll stick to Markram and Khwaja. Makes sense. Experience है, left right वाला भी सीन है, spin भी अच्छा खेल लेता है तो yeah.
Okay, one down. The candidates are green. Maybe Labuschagne if you want to put him there, or we are Mulder. So where are we going? Who are we backing?
ये थोड़ा गर्मी में आटा गीला हो जाएगा because some spots are very very open for debate. Even I would have actually put Jaiswal, but अभी final 11 है. Both teams don't have a number 3 of sorts. You can pick any.
I'll just go with Labuschagne considering his experience. कि भाई खेला, he's added. I mean, he's played, for the longest time there. So the other two are relatively inexperienced. So just for that reason alone, I'll go to Labuschagne.
Okay, so even I'll go with Labuschagne, just experience there. 4 and 5 for me is also Australian boys in terms of Smith and Travis Head. Agreed, Nikhil?
Yeah. What else?
Okay, now 6. What are we doing with 6? Are we going with Val Webster? Are we going with someone else?
Fair.
Beddingham's been pretty good. SX legend and all of that. 7. Now, would you go with Alex Carey or Kyle Verreynne? I honestly think I would go the latter in Kyle Verreynne.
Interesting.
Do you think overall?
7 might be too early also. I think 7 Kyle Verreynne is okay. I mean, better क्योंकि बोला.
Yeah, I would personally go to Alex Carey still because मतलब England में उसने किया भी है थोड़ा बहुत and personally and थोड़ा एक और left-hander मजा ही आ जाएगा. Simple. थोड़ा it'll be nicely split. Then you'll have a 4-3 split across your top 7. For that reason, I would personally go to Alex Carey. But yeah, Verreynne also.
Alex Carey.
Yeah, okay, fine. I'm outnumbered, so we'll go with Carey then. Now 8, 9, 10, 11 guys. Now. Do we go all Australian? Because there's a temptation to go with that Holy Trinity and Lion. Maybe the Holy Trinity and Maharaj, which is what I would actually like. Akshay, you first here. How would you pick your bowlers?
I wouldn't do the Holy Trinity. I would have Cummins at 8. I would have, oh man, this is Jesus Christ.
Jansen
I would have
9.
Cummins at 8, Jansen at 9, Hazelwood at 10, and Maharaj at 10 and Hazelwood at 11. Just so that मेरे South African balance भी चाहिए. I'm just in my head doing at least 5 players from either side. That's why I want. And Jansen over Stark, just as a package एकदम ऐसा.
Nick, do you agree? Stark over Jansen? That's a tough one. Stark's been phenomenal, apparently, with the scrambled balls in this WTC cycle.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at those numbers, 72 wickets for Stark. Difficult to not pick him. I would probably side with Stark and pick Rabada. Rabada has been also very, very good. 47 wickets at 19. Better in terms of... क्या बोले अभी it is very मतलब माफी sorry in advance, but yeah, I mean I would even pick Rabada over Stark if you want to go down that route. I would don't mind Hazelwood and Rabada both playing. You could even drop Maharaj for that matter. Drop Maharaj, play Hazelwood,
Oh.
Stark, Cummins and Rabada.
Abhishek, your lead spinner.
हाँ चल जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ेगा स्पिनर का. You already have enough all-rounders ऐसा.
Okay, that is our combined 11. If you guys can, of course, better it, let us know in the comments. Meanwhile, Dr. Daywalker saying Lion has more wickets than Keshav.
Yeah.
And obviously, people will go for that, but we're going for the left arm just option in Maharaj, who's just been brilliant. People often forget that the fact that Bavuma, beg your pardon, never hit an international 100 outside home. All of his 9 international 100s came at home. This is a neutral venue. So technically, he's still in it, to be fair. Any batsman against Pat would be in trouble, reckons Rajay Human. And Ankit Mittal saying his combined 11 looks something like this. Khwaja, Markram, Manis, Smith, Travis, Webster, Kyle, wherever any of that is, Cummins, Maharaj, Hazelwood, and Rabada. So some big exclusions, big inclusions. If you guys agree with any of them, let's know.
Choice over betting them.
Yeah, fair. Right. There's plenty of things to talk about with regards to Team India, and not to forget Nepal, not to forget a certain umpire called Kritika who's given Ashwin out, who's made him lose his cool. So we'll talk to all of that and about it in the best of the rest. Let's move on. Right, let's start with the aftermath of the IPL because, look, it was kind of dire, the situation out there. I did manage to cover it, not before the news broke out that it was just sad, just the loss of lives. And initially, I thought it was going to be berserk, but people are still managing. But all I would say in the cold light of day, guys, is fans are a lifeblood of every sport. But sometimes you can't rationalize sports fandom. You can prepare for it. Were RCB prepared? Were the Karnataka government prepared? I don't think so. They could have probably done their measures better. But in hindsight, Akshay, I'll start with you. How do you kind of take it as an RCB fan, perceive all the information? And what is this blame game? Because it's turned out to be a political chap more than anything else. And I don't want to get into it. But this is just sports fandom. So many people doing crazy things. And we're not just seeing it in Bangalore. We saw it in Argentina when they won the World Cup in Buenos Aires. We saw it in PSG in France a weekend before that. So this is clearly not just a civic sense India thing. It's further than that.
Man, it's a very complex issue. I would say that there are too many variables, there are too many moving parts over here. To attribute it to just one stakeholder and say this was the reason or they were the reason would be very presumptuous, and I would say almost incorrect. There's no binary, there's no black and white. I'll first preface what I want to say with that. All parties involved were responsible. Firstly, it begins with the RCB management. I will have to say that as a fan of the team, I was genuinely disappointed with the fact that this was managed so poorly, and also the fact that the police came up with a statement. They came out with a statement right after 12 hours since the victory had happened, ki boss, we won't be able to do the parade because we don't have enough security. And we were there out on the streets. Avnish and I both were there out on the streets 2 hours after we finished the watch along, and the streets were chock-a-block. It was packed with fans just cheering, screaming, and naturally you would require a lot more security. This is why a lot of the police force was deployed on the the wee morning hours of that Wednesday morning, which is why then needing security for the immediate parade that was supposed to happen 12 hours later would have been practically impossible, which is why police said, ki boss, nahi hoga humse. Supposedly, apparently, once again, all of this is hearsay from what we understand based on the chronology of events. The management and the social media handle went against that and decided to put out a post despite it. And that's where I think things went down south. And that's where it just became a cat and mouse game where one party wanted to organize a parade, a bus tour and everything. The whole shindig, simply because this was their first trophy. I can understand the sentiment. No one's denying that. I would have loved to watch it myself as a fan. But there's nothing that is worth risking the security of the mass in general. When you're talking about an audience of 8 to 9 lakhs, while expecting this 1.5 lakhs to come in, like 6 to 7 times what you anticipated, that's not a joke. And I also agree with the fact that to some extent the blame will also be on us as fans, wherein despite saying, okay, initially people thronged simply because they were told, ki bhai, aaja. So people came, which is understandable. But better sense should have prevailed once you started seeing that the crowds were getting out of hand, that there wasn't enough security. This was only a recipe for disaster. You could see it. And I was there right in front of the players. I was probably, I would say, 100 yards behind them in their line line. And I couldn't move. The only reason I could move out of the crowd was because people behind me or beside me were pushing me. I had to literally be pushed out of the crowd to get out of it. That's how bad the situation had become. And despite that, no one was willing to move. It started raining. Despite that, no one was willing to move. People were climbing trees. People climbed up the Karnataka High Court. People had climbed up lampposts. And this is not what you want to see. Sure, I get it. You all want to see your favorite player. Sure, Virat Kohli is an iconic player. Sure, this is RCB's first trophy. But again, your life matters more than anything. And nothing will change that. So,
yeah, I mean, it's crazy when we reflect on it, because sometimes sports fandom, it's just a lot of things which have been built up as you as fans. So when RCB did win it, so many people just went crazy. Even moments after the game got done, I went to do fan cams. I've never seen anything like it in my life with regards to people having bijlis sworn around like bandanas and dupattas, and it was all going off, and they didn't care about people around them. They didn't care about themselves. It was absolutely crazy. I mean, make no mistake. I mean, fandom, obviously we can't rationalize it, because every fan will say, you know what, I don't even mind, like, you know, jumping on people and stepping on them because my team's won. And that's the mentality of a lot of brutal fans who come through. And it's a dog-eat-dog world. In a stampede, mob mentality exists. So the authorities have to be taken to blame there. I would also say, just in terms of the last 8-9 hours of what unfolded that night in Bangalore, the management and the police authority should have just been like, listen, this is crazy. We didn't expect this. Let's prepare for something worse. But it didn't happen. And like I said, absolutely sad, because one of the fans who lost her life, I actually spoke to her. We actually did a little fan cam video with her, and I came to know later that this was one of the victims, and it just didn't sit well for me. So shout out to all the fans generally of any sport in any country, but this one is a tough one to take. And of course, I suggested an idea that maybe RCB could probably stand together in solitude as fans, because we've lost 11 of our fan base, and maybe a powerful banner, maybe 11 minutes of silence in the first game of next season could just mean a small little thing in terms of how we can just come together in terms of this. I know many people have said, look, if you had this in Bangalore, this wouldn't have happened. Look, there's a lot of buts and ifs in terms of being prepared. Even when the T20 World Cup parade happened, India had enough time, and Mumbai, of course, was prepared for that. Plus, it was not strewn around. It was in that one line or one sector of Mumbai, which is the Marine Drive. So you could say what you have to, but we condemn it. Nick, just a 2 pence from you on this, because obviously you're not in Bangalore and the magnitude of such wasn't realized. But what was your first impressions, just reading, watching, and consuming this news?
I think the only reaction was absolute shock. That and aftershock was very, very angry that this is a controllable. How much ever people will feel it is not, but it is a controllable in terms of you have to think this through. For once, there are as Akshay said, there are so many factors here where you cannot expect people to always be, walk in a line, do this, don't do that, don't do this. You can see people are emotionally charged. I mean, I said this a year back that I was there when RCB CSK match happened. And I kept speaking about that experience as well, that everybody was so overjoyed. But then that emotion is there. But then there is no way to channelize that emotion. And the only thing that you can do to channelize it, have enough security, which, as you both have rightly said, it was there when the match got over. But then I think that in itself was enough clue for everybody around. Okay, if we don't manage this well, it could lead to anything. And it is so unfortunate that something like that it happens, and what do you do about it? I mean, it's hard to put to word that by this person is responsible, that person is. I think everybody is responsible. As Akshay said, every stakeholder is responsible, from the people who wanted to get this done the very next day. I mean, the logic that you said. Mumbai had time because you had time. And again, this is not a comparison. It is not right to compare that, this would have happened here. It shouldn't happen anywhere. This should not. And also, I'll take this time to say, we as people need to be a bit more human. Stop playing games on events like these where we say, ये इधर होता ना तो नहीं होता. This happened here, so it happened. It doesn't matter where it happened. What happened is wrong, and it doesn't matter where it happened and for whom it happened. This should just not happen ever again. And I don't know what will come out of this that will keep. How do you tell to people who lost their family member because they went to celebrate something? It just makes no sense, and nothing can compensate for that. So I just hope something like this never happens again, ever, and everybody should take enough precaution. And as you say, it's slightly disappointing that something like this could have been avoided, is what I feel. In terms of this, 100% could have been planned far better so that nothing like this can happen.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like you mentioned, it's a controllable, but sometimes I feel even in India, we've experienced it in the 2023 World Cup. In fact, Akshay, me, Vikas, Weber, we were all there. And remember that time, Akshay, the fact that India lost to Australia, people are losing their minds. Some with VK points, similar things out in his experience as a fan. I mean, is this just craziness? Because they don't care whether it's an old person in front of you, a child, a woman. People are just like, I want to get out of here. And if you, dare I say, fall on the ground, you're just holding your head and hoping no one just steps on you, because it is crazy. No one cares because there's so many people in such a small little area.
See, I would probably put it this way. Mob mentality is universal. Once you are in a very large group, the thinking, the mindset changes. Then it's not the same as you are. Like, you as an individual might be very empathetic and think of the other person. But when you are in a group of, thousands or lakhs, that goes out of the window. Firstly, that, and that's across the border. I mean, across the world. It's not an India thing. It's not a continent thing, nothing like that. Where India probably would struggle is the fact that such cases of large crowds would be a lot more. The number of instances of such large crowd gathering together would be a lot more in India, simply because of the population, simply because of the kind of events we see. Tell me how many stadiums can you think of outside India that has a capacity of over 100,000? And we already have another couple that are being built. And apparently now the chief minister of Karnataka has also said that Bangalore will now be building another new stadium, which in all likelihood will also be another stadium with 100,000 plus capacity. That's where you need to understand, if you want to build a stadium of that kind of capacity, then you have to plan it end to end. Like, I'm sorry, that's where Ahmedabad unfortunately scores a lot of negative points. They have only one entry gate. And you're talking about a capacity of 120,000 people. That's not easy. That's definitely not easy. Again, not pointing or not saying this is wrong. Everyone, right from the management, even if RCB is penalized for this in any shape or form, they need to be penalized, because what happened under their jurisdiction, under their watch. So everyone needs to, again, no amount of punishment, penalty, nothing would appropriate to what those family members have lost. And that, nothing can ever be done. Like, you can't make up for it. All you can do is try. That's it. And I hope they try sincerely and not do something just for the sake of it, or just to show or give a perception of, we are actually doing well. I hope that it is something sincere. That's all I can say.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how time moves on from this particular chapter, but they'll never be forgotten. Let me tell you that. We are a fan-focused channel. We've always been, and will continue to do so with regards to that story as well. Right, from the IPL aftermath, let's look forward and an early look ahead to the Tendulkar-Anderson Trophy. Next, when you saw the new name of this particular trophy and series, did you think they could have probably had better icons? People suggesting Botham Couple, people suggesting various other names. Tendulkar-Anderson, is it fitting?
Yeah, it is subjective whether it is fitting or not. I had no problem with the Pataude Trophy as well. Again, people will ask, even why Pataude? There are other people that you want to name it around. I just hope things like these need to be once and for all. These are not things that you should keep changing trophies. And again, if you want to build a test culture, it has to be one. Ashes isn't something else every 4 years. It's not something else every 15 years. It is the same. And of course, it's a name that is different. It has different context, but there can always be amended to something which is a permanent an identity. So uh, I have no problem. To me, the name matters more if you want to teach the audience. But at this point of time, nobody cares. Firstly about the audience, and then about teaching the audience. So uh, if they want to sell it like that, sell it.
Okay. I mean, it was normally known as the Anthony de Mello Trophy, but there's so many other names
Yeah.
to it. Now, if you look at Test cricket in general, you see so many spurting out. The Vaughan Mulry Trophy. You look at Australia. I think they play West Indies, and that's called something. So you have various names. Akshay, where do you stand in Tendulkar-Anderson?
Frank Warren, isn't it?
Oh, Frank Warren.
Yeah.
Frank Warren, Chapelhead, yeah, exactly.
Where
Where
do you
do I
stand?
stand?
I mean, is it a good name for you? Were you expecting more? Imagine, I don't know, Agarkar Flintoff, for example.
Wow, you really went for it, Amish. You really did. See, to this I'll have to quote the great Shakespeare. What's there in a name? एक तो मेरे को समझ नहीं आता लोगों को outrage क्यों करना है सब चीज पे? Why on earth? Like it almost feels like people are seeking reasons to outrage. नाम रखो भाड़ में जाए भाई. Like firstly, if I'm not wrong, Anthony de Mello is the India leg of the series, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Why do we have different names for the India leg and the England leg? I don't understand that too. But that's my first thought. Those are my first thoughts. And secondly, why? Like, did they give a reason to why they decided to change? क्या पटौड़ी ने कुछ गलत कर दिया कि they want to honor Tendulkar and Anderson?
More recent times, I'm guessing.
I just feel it was unnecessary to begin with. There was no reason because people were slowly catching up to, warming up to the Pataudi Trophy and calling it. And it takes time. Border Gavaskar Trophy as well. It's not like people always called it that way. BGT became BGT in 2020. Uske pehle, I'm guessing 2018 or 17 was the first time it was christened as the Border Gavaskar Trophy. But for the first 4 years, no one called it that. It took some time. And similarly with Pataudi, it would have taken some time, but I hope this is the last time we see the names being changed. And I hope for both legs, now that it's Tendulkar-Anderson, they've taken one of either teams. I hope the home leg will also be called the TAT or the Tendulkar-Anderson Trophy or whatever. I saw the portmanteaus of, Ten Anderson or Tenderson and all of those things that were happening. जो भी करना है कर लो, बस नाम फिर से चेंज मत करो. परेश रावल बेचारा आवारा पागल दीवाना में रो रहा था जब भी नाम चेंज होता, तो उसके लिए खातिर, उसी के खातिर मत करो बस.
Yeah, I mean, Vikas, I think, told me Tendulkar Trophy, but that'll just be weird. But Tendulkar and Anderson, in their own right, have test records. I don't think it'll be breached in any moment in time. So I think the long shelf life of this particular series will be good. The 5-match test series we'll preview in greater detail, but just early impressions, guys. India have gone there so far, Nikhil, Akshay, and apparently, as Vimal Kumar reports, wherever he goes in the world, not that many Indian fans flocking at airports, not that many Indian fans because no Kohli, no Rohit. So how do you guys perceive this tour? Is it almost like a new era? But looking at what they're doing so far in the England Lions game, are you getting any conviction that, you know what, give us good highway pitches and India could beat England in England? Nikhil?
Yeah, firstly, I don't mind people not flocking airports. I think it's about time. I did not mention it back then, but I think a lot of our media is also responsible for this hoarding that we do of our supposed heroes. Now there is enough proof for you to see how much everybody cares about everyone. So I think it is good, and I think we should celebrate people not flocking, people respecting people's privacies. And again, that's a part of culture that we can only build with time. So because we don't have to wait. The moment anybody does well, they'll start selling them. And we have been sold individuals in this country forever. So that line, I don't know where it came from, but it's about time that we also start putting the team first and not worry so much about it. So, and yes, Santosh, that's what I'm not hoping for. I love Karun Nair for all I know, but फिर नायर के साथ रूट नहीं जुड़ेगा, नायर के साथ ब्रुक जुड़ेगा. So whether you want to go down that route, I don't know. But I'm expecting good roads, non-taxable, because if they put any grass as tax, then I think India has the bowling to bother England, and that I think would make it for a good viewing. But I don't think England would want that.
Okay, Akshay, what are you looking at these scorecards or highlights, whichever way you want to look at it, and give yourself conviction as an Indian fan? Because Karun obviously lighting it up, KL 150, Jurel is batting well, Eastwell's taking his chance. Everyone is kind of now chomping the bit to get into that starting 11. So obviously good signs. Decent 11. England Lions, not the best bowlers in the world. They had Wokes, they had Josh Down and all of that. But again, what does it tell you? Early impressions in such a long English summer.
I was just looking at those names who were in the fringe of that playing 11 in the periphery. Would they make it or not? Baki, like you said, there's only so much that you can take out of these 8 odds. These are primarily done to get acclimatized, get used to the conditions over there, and understand your game better and all of that stuff. So Karun Nair, Dhruv Jurel, very impressed with the way both of them have batted, and something Somesh and Nikhil were talking about offline as well. It has made it a possibility now that both Nair and Jurel play ahead of someone like a Sai Sudarshan, which is something Team India might and could consider, and some might even say should consider. But the fact that someone like an Anshul Kamboj, I was just seeing that I've always considered him considered him to be a bowling all-rounder. Bola bhi hai. Last year, in fact, if you see how he played in the Ranji Trophy, based on which he got that, made an IPL call-up, he'd actually done decently with the bat as well. It was him and Sumit Kumar, both of them pace bowling all-rounders who'd done decently. Now that he's also done, a fair bit with the bat, scoring a 50, once again, sure, you can argue about the bowling lineup and this and that. Done. I completely am with you on that. But you still cannot deny the fact that having someone who can also handle himself with the bat, having a pacer, third pacer who can also do decently with the bat, that's again it's a very titillating prospect. Something I would happily consider, because I've always said I need options. Make options mangta, or mere paas if I have a choice of a pacer who can also handle himself with the bat and is actually a good pacer. By the way, Anshul Kamboj just as a pacer alone to meko impress kar liya hai bahut. He's done more than enough at the red ball circuit domestically, and also we've seen him in the IPL, we've seen him in the A Tour as well. He's been one of the more economical bowlers across both sides. तो अच्छा तो किया है, and भाई अगर number 9 पे अंशुल कंबोज आ सकता है तो मैं मना नहीं करेगा. I won't be upset about it.
I mean, Anshul Kamboj might be battling out for a position with Shardul Thakur by the looks of it, because that little innings of his could just give the coach a little bit more conviction, and then you stick with your 3 pacers. Lots of questions coming through. If we don't answer them, we'll take them in the 12th man segment for sure. And last tour to England, England batting was weak and bowling had experience. This time, England batting looks fire and bowling looks inexperienced. I agree with that to a certain degree, because obviously you take up Anderson and you feel like England's attack could be toothless, especially on decks, which is similar to the England-Zimbabwe test at Trent Bridge. If we get anything like that, India, I think, would have a chance and more. And Yashtarani saying India's 2020 on bowling was the best it's ever been for an overseas tour. Fully fit Bumrah, Shami, Ishant for Sumesh, Shardul, Shiraj. England only had Anderson, Robinson, no Archer, Stokes and Broad. I mean, again, what the boys mentioning in terms of any green tinge on these pitches, India will be in it. 100% will be in it. So it depends on the groundsman, the conditions that the ECB want to give India in these 5 test matches. England bowling not looking so good and the strongest, hoping Prasid has a good tour. And more comments to take. Final chat here on this, because right here we're still 11 days away from the first ball, first test Leeds. Nix, I just want to ask you, with Gautam Gambhir and Shubman Gill there, can we be presumptuous about the style of play? Do you think India will go in thinking, okay, fine, you know what, we want to kind of bat a new way? There's no big egos in the dressing room. So it's a blank canvas. We can paint it however we want to paint it.
Yeah, they can paint it however they want to paint it. But I don't think we can assume which way they would go. And it is very difficult to guess it after the way India played in Australia, that you played with batting there, but you played with almost lack of bowling options apart from their first 3. That cannot happen. That cannot happen again and again. So I think they'll go with a bit more balanced approach in terms of their depth that they have with both bat and ball. But the one thing they'll have to do is be very, very proactive. And that is something that I cannot wait for, that a new pairing in Gill and Gambhir, both wanting and have to prove a lot, both personally and for the team, against a side that loves to play at a particular tempo. It may not always be at 4 runs or stuff, but see, when you play in England, you have to play the team and the media both, no matter how you say and what you do about it. They will make you feel, oh, Stokes is doing this, Stokes is doing that. Stokes moved mid-wicket 1 centimeter, it resulted in a wicket. I'm not saying Gill has to do that, but the point is he's going to put pressure on you as a team, as a captain. How does Gambhir handle the off-the-field stuff? Because that will ensure on the field there is as less pressure on the team, because this is a very young side. And I cannot for once wait to see how will they respond to this, because there is so much for everybody in that lineup to prove. There are only 3-4 people who are sure of playing. They will play all 5 games. So that's a crazy place to be in for a side. So in that sense, I think Gambhir will play a massive role. Hasn't had the greatest of times in England, but this is his time for redemption.
The one thing which will be interesting is the press conferences, and I'm pretty sure the British tabloids and the journalists there won't spare the Indian cricketers if they do fall flat in the first 2 tests. And again, Gill, Gambhir, this new era, it gives me confidence as an Indian fan. Just to kind of sign off from this topic, 5 players I've actually made a note of, Akshay, where I actually want to see, regardless of what they do. Gill, the captain, Bumrah, KL, because I just think KL, it could just be a new KL that we see in Test cricket now that Rohit and Kohli are gone. He might pick up the baton from that regard. Jadeja, because I think there's still a last mile left in him. Whether it's a bat, ball, I don't know how he's going to go about it, but the last little sprint in his Test career, I think he'll do really well. And Karun Nair. I mean, I generally say that last name with the Karnataka tinge to it. I've been calling him for a huge time, and I hope he lives up to the billing. I know there's a lot of other batters there, which I haven't mentioned, who will definitely tickle my pickle, but those 5 interest me the most. Before we move away, Akshay, any early predictions, any early shout-outs, any early man of the series calls? Because we're hearing it from the chat so far.
Scoreline, though, I'll stick to what I'd gone ahead with, last week or probably a couple of weeks ago. 3-2 in India's favor. I think this it just is giving me the vibes of the BGT 2020-21 जहाँ पे एकदम inexperienced side, people are trying to count them out way too early. I think there's a lot of potential there, and this England side isn't as indomitable as people make them out to be. है भाई, उनके भी बहुत बड़े holes हैं that can be exploited, and I hope that the Indian team can do that tactically.
2-2 reckons Crick Info in terms of a prediction, and he was also asking us if there's no test match in Trent Bridge. Zimbabwe got that, so they will not have another test match in Nottingham. Right, from test cricket, let's move back to T20 cricket, because I just want to understand from Nikhil and Akshay, how much have they watched the highlights, clips on Twitter, seen scorecards of the TNPL. Apparently, there's a lot of T20 cricket happening in Mumbai, where Sky is playing, Shreyas Iyer played. Who was it? I think Swapnil Singh is having a right laugh with the bat right now. So, guys, I've not seen any of this, apart from that Ashwin LBW being given out from the female umpire, which pitched outside leg, like with the widest road in Coimbatore. So, you first, Nikhil, what is your T20 League roundup this week look like?
Crazy, which is why I started by saying 24 hours are too less, because I can't catch up even on highlights. There is Vidarbha T20, there is Mumbai T20, there is Maharashtra Premier League, there is TNPL, and still there are a few more things that are happening that I want to catch up on. But Raghuvanshi is keeping wickets. That is something that caught my eye. That is something that is interesting to see. I follow TNPL a bit more, so that love it when people do musty with reviews, and then they have to get outside leg. Fully deserved. You deserve nothing else for taking reviews as early as first over of the game. Well done, sir. Best use of technology, no problem there. Shreyas Iyer has played okay. Raghuvanshi had a line. I'll have to first check if it was true or not. अपने सरपंच साहब is impact player.
It is. मैंने लिखा.
तो मतलब proper. फिर मतलब जय माता दी. क्या बचा फिर? Vidarbha again. So I have caught up something of everything, but अभी मेरे को इतना याद है.
That's a lot of leagues, a lot of IPL scouts will probably just finish the IPL and then go back into the scene. Akshay, what's got your eye? I mean, do you actually watch the TNPL? Do you watch even, I don't know, a ball of the Mumbai T20 League?
I usually do. I love watching them. Unfortunately, last 3-4 days, been caught up with a bunch of other things. So I will catch up on them in the next couple of days and then watch them live. I love watching it because in my head, to maybe scout that, bro. So that's how we look at it. This is the best way of just looking at talents and then trying to see. This is like, think of it as an imaginary stock market where these are all penny stocks and you try and invest them when they're low. And then you see them go. So, Jitesh, of course, by the way, all of Maharashtra is playing. There's the Maharashtra Premier League, there's the Vidarbha Pro T20, and there's the Mumbai League. So, pura Maharashtra is nicely, busy with the games. And coming to what's caught my eye, nothing, of course. I'd only seen bits and pieces here and there, clips doing the rounds. I've been watching a bit of the women's side of the Maharashtra Premier League, but of course, not completely caught up on it. I do know I've been specifically told to watch more on Gautami Naik, so I'll be watching her a lot more of her, and I'll be catching up on the games. There's some very impressive talents. Priti Mandana, of course, will be, is leading the Ratnagiri Jets. Hasn't done too well so far this season, so wo bhi ek dekhna hai. Backyard T20 leagues, 21 T20 leagues between June and September. There'll be 21 T20 leagues happening in India. From Saurashtra to Jharkhand to Karnataka to Kerala to Tamil Nadu to Punjab to Delhi to Kolkata. The proliferation of leagues in India, it's interesting. It's very interesting.
We should actually get involved in some of these leagues and try to do what Fan Code and all these buggers do in terms of just giving an opportunity for fans to view these leagues. Like how I think we tune into the European Cricket Network to watch Estonia play Finland in a cold Tuesday night. Cricinfo saying, in which channel do you get to see these leagues? I have no idea, I'll be frank. Mostly Fan Code. I think they've kind of bought the rights of all of it. So go check out Fan Code. It'll be cricket for sure, galore. I think Amazon Prime has maybe the TNPL on it because I saw an advertisement there on it, but who knows?
That's on Jio. Fan Code and Jio, some of them are on Sony. So, sab ye in pe hai, tension nahi.
Okay, interesting. Right, before we move on from the best of the rest to Akshay's quiz, just want to talk about something which happened earlier this week, which is a crazy game. Nikhil brought it up, and then I scurried towards YouTube to see the highlights. Talking about Nepal's Scotland heist. I mean, honest to God, what happened in that game, Nix? If someone hasn't heard the news, even though 5-6 days has passed, why was this game so crazy?
It was so crazy. They played a replay yesterday itself, but yesterday Scotland won. In the previous instance, Nepal had won. I don't think I'll do justice to the drama, and I will not give any spoilers. Also, you go and watch that last over if you want to. Just even watch the last ball and take a pause while Avnish shoots out his message with a good finger, with a good covering up there. There's a point of time where the umpire is starting to signal wide. The keeper feels, oh, I missed the stumping. The bowler thinks it's out. And it is crazy the amount of stuff that happened in that one ball. It was a wide. They needed one last wicket. It was a wide. They ran and they won because of the wide. So that was 6 days prior. Yesterday, Karan KC FC, he's not FC, Karan KC Name uska, but I am part of that FC. He was the key guy in the last game. He took 2 wickets, scored 60 odd. He was again there yesterday. They needed again 7 runs, but this time Sahan Sharif got the better. They needed 3 of 1. Super over bhi possible tha, but Rajabanshi, if I'm not wrong, got bowled and Scotland won. मैं इतना बोल के ही थक गया. So please go and watch the 2 games on YouTube and don't come to me or go to anyone and say ODI cricket is dying. Go watch ODI cricket first.
And I'll tell you what, Nepal fans are good travelers, and there were a few happy ones, I would say, there with regards to that particular game. But go check out the highlights of that, and it's something to definitely watch. One thing that we have to, of course, discuss before we move on to that quiz is England West Indies, because a lot of RCB fans tuned in to watch Jacob Bethel, who's been doing really good. Sheffield played that particular series, but England far too strong, far too superior. Harry Brook got some runs, and so did some of the other players. I mean, what caught your eye? Akshay, I'll start with you here. Did you see any particular news from this series that you were like, okay, chal raha hai?
I watched all of the women's T20Is and the women's ODIs. तो उसके बारे में खुशी से बात करेगा. But about the men's ODIs, I did catch a few glimpses. I was pleasantly surprised with the way Jason Holder took on Adil Rashid, of course.
Adil
In
Rashid.
the penultimate over.
5 sixes in an over.
Yeah, that was
Him and Shepherd combined.
Yeah, he's Shepherd, yeah. And Bethel Bhai, the 3 sixes he hit of Alzari Joseph, man, it was something.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I know bias lag sakta hai, but it looked very good. And you know what was the best part? First 6 hooks it behind square. Second 6 straight down the ground. Third 6 slashes at pass point. All 3 areas covered. मतलब बचता क्या? तो वो देखने में मजा आया. Then that first ball Yorker, bro, from Luke Wood, straight out of hell to Evan Rose, वो भी मजा आया. And it also seemed away. I don't know if you guys saw in the Hawkeye, which seemed away massively. So that was also very interesting. बाकी ठीक है, मतलब Roston Chase, good to see him do interesting things. थोड़ा 1-2 विकेट ले रहे हैं वहाँ पे. Yesterday he took Harry Brooks wicket. So just happy with that. I like him a lot. बाकी I haven't seen enough to say कि this guy, that guy. Jamie Smith, a lot of people were talking about. I haven't seen, मतलब मेरे को कुछ खास दिखा नहीं. Nikhil bhai can probably shed more light on them.
Yeah, I'm actually very surprised that they went down that route. It is, I don't know, not even nostalgic. You had Pryor and other guys batting down the order. फिर बीच में एक keys batter आ गया था. Who you felt, wow, we finally have a keeper bat who can bat up the order. I don't know if they needed Jamie Smith up top. I think he has a lot of potential, but I'm not quite sold either ways. Whether it is too good or too bad. But he's had a couple of starts. I don't know if he can be part of the auction or not, but there are teams who need high intent openers. But I don't even know how much to make of West Indies, because if you look at the West Indies bowling lineup, Jason Holder, Shepherd, Akil Hussain only played 1 game. So, of course, Alzari Joseph. So, isme and Gutukesh Modi. It's not an attack that will give you a lot of confidence. Inko Mara, definitely worth keeping an eye on. So, not disrespecting anybody, but need to see a bit more of Jamie Smith there.
Jamie Smith, I think, is just being groomed as Salt's understudy for that World Cup next year, is my personal opinion. I also think if you look at both these teams, probably 8 to 9 of those players are definitely playing the World Cup next year in terms of the starting 11. I mean, obviously, there'll be permutation, combination. Nick's touched upon the West Indies bowlers there, maybe toothless this series, but I think they should probably get some more into their bowling arsenal. Similar with England, I think they have the makings of potentially a team which can come and win the World Cup in India. A lot of their players played the IPL. So again, interesting times. Let's see how T20 cricket is just going to be happening for the next 6 months, guys, because Feb, March is when the World Cup is. A lot of teams will be using these kind of bilaterals just to explore and test and tinker, so on and so forth. Jack's at 7, bro. I mean, yeah, he had a failure in that last game. There is one more game remaining in Southampton, the Rose Bowl tomorrow, England, West Indies. Go check that out. There will be coverage of it as well. Random comments coming through. If you guys have just joined in the podcast, smash a like. We are almost done and dusted, but we are, of course, nearing Akshay's quiz. Speaking of Akshay, thanks, Mohit. We will take that in our stride. And Harry Brook captaincy during rating until now, still early days, man. I mean, again, we can't judge him in terms of what he's done against Australia, sure. Against West Indies, again, points to be picked up, and he's had that say. And Supreme Leader Sky Jung-un going on to say, West Indies, we have a crazy tour, not even winning a match. What has cricket become, man? 3 nations sport. It is seemingly that way. Right, let's move on to Akshay's quiz. But of course, what to watch this week? Plenty of content, plenty of cricket with it as well. And everyone will be focused on that WTC final. It starts Wednesday, 3:30 p.m. I think it will be on Hotstar. Check it out. And not to forget, India A play India in a warm-up match on Monday. We'll, of course, try to talk about it in the next MNL, but that is exactly your cricket offering for this week. Super. Time to win big on the MNL, and that only happens through one segment, and that is, of course, Howzzaat. Right, did we have a winner last week? I think my quizmaster would agree. Akshay, take it away. I'm pretty sure you have an interesting this week as well.
Yep. Let's start off with, of course, last week's question. There we go, bunch of numbers. There were a number of instances, and each team, of course, associated with those instances. We asked you what instances were being referred to in the table. The correct answer is, of course, these are the number of captains that have led their respective sides to a final. Of course, with Chennai's only Dhoni, who's led them to a final with RCB. There's Anil Kumble, Daniel Vettori, Virat Kohli, and now Rajat Patidar. So that was the answer we were looking for. Quite a few of you attempted, quite a few came very close. But there was only one guy who got it bang on, and it was Prasad Simhadri, who also said that apparently it was his friend who helped him out with this. So congrats to your friend as well, Prasad. Good on you for asking your friend firstly, and good on him for knowing the answer. So congratulations. Do get in touch with us on X, and we'd love to chat with you come next MNL episode. Coming to this week's Howzzaat, very simple question. 5 player hai bhai. Connect the below. Apologies. I think my designer's forgotten to insert a very important word. Connect the below IPL players. This is an exhaustive list. There are only 5 players who are a part of this list, and a very eclectic group, I would say. Sachin Tendulkar, Virat Kohli, Harshal Patel, Shubman Gill, and Surya Kumar Yadav. I want you guys to tell me what exhaustive list are these 5 cricketers part of, these 5 IPL players to be specific. So this is an IPL related question. That's a hint. And secondly, exhaustive ka matlab hai there's no one else who's a part of this list. So it's only these 5 players. I've not missed out on any names. So I want you guys to tell me what list are we talking about. Like always, please wait for the live stream to end to enter your answers. Do not key in your answers in the live chat. You're only going to help your fellow viewers. Key in your answers in the live, at the end of the live stream in the main comment section in order to remain eligible to talk to us, of course.
I mean, that's the most graphic element I've seen ever in a Howzzaat question. But if you guys win it, know the answers, connect those 5 cricketers and tell us what you think. Random people saying random things in the chat. Harvinder Kaur Padam, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Bhai, itni Angrezi kaise bol lete ho? I mean, dekho bhai, dekho. But if you want Hindi, there is a better show, Harvinder, tomorrow. These 2 will be with you, Akshay and Nix, with Somesh. And the only difference is Somesh has opinions and I have hair. That's all it is. Right. Mohit Sharma, thank you for commenting. And Rajesh Human as well. Smash a like, guys, because we will take your questions right now. And it's been that kind of MNL where you guys have had some brilliant ones. So what are we waiting for? Let's move on to the final segment. Right, let's start as recently as this one from Mayank. A fellow named Rinku Singh got engaged, but how does it matter to us? His performances on the field matters. All the media 24 hours cover that point in the ceremony. Star culture needs to be stopped. I mean, on the topic of Rinku Singh, because Mayank has brought it up weirdly with that news peg, what is the goal for him to make the 26th T20 World Cup? There was a random chat being had at the office the other day. Is T20 international cricket even there for Rinku Singh anymore, Akshay?
In all likelihood, we won't see him anytime soon, of course. The ship is definitely not sailed for him, if that's the question. He can make a comeback. Hopefully, he has a great Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy, a great UP T20 League, and also IPL mein thoda importantly acha karna hi padega. But he's definitely in the reckoning. He's been a part of the squad, of the last T20I series that India played. So he's not completely out of the window, but there are a few who've leapfrogged him in the pecking order. So expecting them to feature, there might be a few debutants as well in that part of the team. Shashank Singh, the likes. So wo hai, but baki I still think Rinku Singh will be in and around. Uska zikr to hoega, people will still discuss him for sure.
He's a very unique cricketer, and I think he'll definitely be part of plans no matter how that ship is sailed. Ankit Mittal, Nix, you can take this one. If Bumrah plays 3 tests, let's assume, does Arshdeep play the other 2?
Yeah, I don't think it's +3 +2 5. It could be anything. I think it depends massively on how Siraj and Prasidh start. And I assume those 2 will be given that priority, that they are the ones who start. And then basis that and how Kuldeep is played when he is and how Bumrah is looking, then I think they'll take a call. So I don't think it's going to be, you can't replace Bumrah by anyone. There is no such option possible. But combination-wise, you can do stuff if Siraj and Prasidh are going well. So it will not just be straightforward.
Yeah, I mean, the inside cricket fan in me wants Arshdeep to play all five and Bumrah as well. I've said that on record. Akshay will be sniggering, looking at that reel that he cut out. Right, Cricket Info saying, do you guys all agree unanimously for the first time in Indian history, our bowling attack is looking more balanced than England bowling lineup? I mean, 2007, we won that series 1-0, and I would probably pip India's attack over England's attack. They had Sidebottom, they probably had Tremlett, a young Anderson, and we had Zach. We had who else did we have? We had some good bowlers, Srishant, who was at his peak at that point in time.
Yeah,
So I would say
Zahir, Srishant, RP Singh.
Kumble.
Yeah, and he had Ranadev Bose for what it's worth. मतलब खेला नहीं हुआ था.
Oh yeah, for sure. Akshay, why didn't you take this one from Ryan Ahmed, who asked us earlier this evening? Is Steve Smith hitting another century at Lords? What's the gut feeling of you guys?
I'll go with the no, man. This is a good pace attack, and because I'm backing the Saffers, it's only fair that I hope my gut doesn't say that Steve Smith will score a century. So I'll say no, he's not.
Next.
So apparently Steve Smith loves Lord's ka lunch. So South Africa, please ensure he has that lunch.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Every cricketer apparently loves the Lord's lunch like never before. We have one from Santosh Udupa, which he asked us earlier about the MLC in terms of whether it is just losing its sheen of sorts. Where is that point where Santosh Udupa?
I think MLC ka sheen is on and off to me purely because of the timing. There is so much cricket happening around during the day that it is impossible to then be up there for those games starting at 5:30 and all, to then watch everything else that follows the day. So MLC has been that one tournament that I've never been able to watch every game and make notes. So that is that for me.
Okay. What is in a Lord's lunch? I'm curious. I mean, I've seen this video, I think 4 or 5 years ago, and it's just amazing. For traveling cricketers, they have something. So, for example, if the Asian team's traveling, your Pakistan, Sri Lankans, they have something for that. But Australians, South Africans love it because they have roast beef and all of that. Sorry, Nick, you were going to add?
Let's manifest doing a 1 MNL from Lords maybe one day, and after having the Lords lunch. So we'll let you know that.
That'd be pristine. I mean, I think Akshay might get a glimpse of it. He's going to the UK soon, so we could get some.
तो नहीं हो रहा है. Lords lunch इतना नहीं है भाई. इतना अगर होता तो कर लेते, but नहीं. Lords हो रहा है, ये बड़ी बात है हमारे लिए बस.
Okay. You see Jitesh around the Indian team asking Amit Gurai. I think in the T20 scheme of things, he's made his case, especially with him not as a batter, but as a keeper first. I think that's where we've been impressed as RCB fans. Nikhil, Akshay, is it early doors, or is it just too many people in that wicketkeeper role, finisher role for India already?
Playoffs में अच्छा करके काम. Nikhil, आप start करो.
No, you can continue. I'll add later. कोई बात नहीं.
Like doing well in the final has definitely strengthened his case massively. Not to forget the 85 of 33 that he scored just a couple of games ago, which was again a crucial game, a must-win game of sorts for him and his side. His keeping shot has been very good, but I think this Indian team is too good and they have too many players. You can't just be picked on the basis of keeping. Where Jitesh Sharma's value add will be very highest. Given that openers mein abhi, Jaiswal, Sudarshan, Abhishek Sharma, there's so many players. Sanju Samson being the incumbent becomes very, the case for him is not just that strong anymore. And for the longest time, the reason they went ahead with Sanju Samson was keeper corner. Kaun hai apne paas acha keeper jo middle order mein bat kar sakta hai. That's where if they think, we don't need Sanju Samson at the top, we want to play Jaiswal and Abhishek together, or we want to pair Sudarshan and Jaiswal, whatever it is that they want to go ahead with, Jitesh then becomes that option for you, a middle order keeper who can slot in at 5, 6, 7 anywhere. So he can then potentially grab that Rinku Singh spot that we were talking about ahead of someone like maybe Shashank Singh or something. Just thinking out loud, of course. There are various other combinations they can look at, but that's how I see this.
Speaking of number 7, Priyanshu Dhawan had this one for us. Shashank, Ashutosh, or Rinku. Choose one for number 7 for India. I mean, I would want to say Shashank because he's just given us good amount of recency bias and conviction. But Nix, do you see the other two as well?
No, at this point of time, I would side with Shashank. He's been doing a tougher job better. And at number 7, the problem with Ashutosh is you can not tested enough. for what it's worth, and Rinku takes time to start. So to me, Rinku is more my number 4, 5 option than a number 7 option. So at this point of time, it will probably be Shashank.
Okay. Fair thoughts from Nikhil. Freaking awesome. Asking as Corbin Bosch or Ian Mulder for the WTC final. If you guys did check our WTC thoughts out earlier, or if you're just joining us, we all said Ian Mulder, I think, should start for South Africa. It's been an experiment that they're having and some success as well. So clear winners in terms of Ian Mulder here, Akshay, Nikhil.
Yep.
Okay, fair. And one more question that we'll just try to get in. Will we finally see some fairness from the next WTC cycle? Surely away wins are worth more points than home wins. And what about the number of matches? We need to respect Sir Ben Stokes' opinion. All I would say, Supreme Leader Sky Jung-un, is it has to be the same number of games for each team because
चल क्या रहा है भाई?
मेरा screen क्या हुआ?
Yeah, I mean, everyone just disappeared.
How? Sorry, Supreme Leader. Sorry.
Yeah, आपने नाम लिया इसीलिए हुआ लगता है. I was just shocked. What happened for a second there?
No, I mean, it's a good way to end the show. WTC, how should it be? I mean, if we had to have any rules, if we were the ICC for one day, I would say best of 3 final, and I would say every team should play the same amount of tests.
Ideally, yes. Nikhil,
Yeah, everybody would love best of 3 finals, but I don't think there is time for that. There could be 2 finals, 1 home, 1 away. वो कर लो. फुटबॉल में भी ऐसा होता है. जितना थोड़ा मेरे को पता है तो वो कर लो. If you want, that is still doable because then you're dependent only on those 2 teams that way. And one thing that I definitely want is more away wins to count because surely that has to count for a lot more because it is difficult, even more so in the WTC era where everybody is wanting to make the most of home advantage. So it may be similar conditions, but still New Zealand have hardly won in Australia. So that it doesn't count for much. So more away wins have to be preferred. Zyada away wins more important.
Yeah, there are different ways to kind of make this a better tournament, but again, we'll probably do a separate episode on that. Akshay, final word with you here. If you had one nice idea to spice up the WTC, innovated, how would you do that?
Very tricky, man. I would start off with the best of 3 to begin with. Neutral venue, home and away. I would do best of 3 across venues. I know it's extremely impractical because there aren't any set of 2 teams जहाँ पे home and away दोनों same, unless it's India Sri Lanka or India Pakistan or India Bangladesh or Australia New Zealand. I don't know how is that possible, but I would love to see something like that. And the cycle being a 4-year cycle, I'll add that. Not just 2, 4-year cycle. Make it a World Cup की तरह 4-year event रखो, थोड़ा लंबा खेलो, अच्छा खेलो. It would also mean that you have to be consistently good over an even longer period. That would, I think, make it even more fun. मतलब बीच में retirements हो जाएंगे, players ही नहीं बचेंगे. So I think it'll add a different mystery to the whole setup.
See, one thing which has to change for the next cycle is that get the final out of England. You can't have it all the time, bloody England. So right now that needs to change. And even what Michael once said, I think, 5-6 months ago, that if you actually have it with a 2-tier system, it could probably bring in relegation promotion for tests with all 12 test nations being involved with there. Look, guys, thank you so much for your time. Really, really appreciate it on this Monday evening. If you guys are catching this podcast later, smash a like, drop a subscribe if you guys are new, and tell a friend about cricket.com. We're there for the WTC. We'll be doing a lot of coverage for that. Check out all our day's reactions on short content, long content. There's better coming out. There is one hell of an interview coming out later this week. I won't mention the name, but it is something to, of course, stuck into. Until the next time, it's a goodbye from all of us. I think I have a flight to catch. I'm going to go to a certain land of the east where the sun rises. I won't, of course, give you more. Thanks, guys. I'll see you soon. Cheers.
Cheers.